I'll start with a quick review for this book, The Sweet Spot. Great book overall. Probably a higher four, might even ended up giving this a five. Great author. I love the writing, flowing very well. He's very self-aware. He understands where he's at, self-conscious. He understands that it's kind of a self-help, but he talks about it, and he knows where he falls short. So overall, great author, and just great topic. It's different than what we used to. Just interesting idea overall. I like the idea of it. It talks about pain, suffering, happiness. There is some books about happiness, but less about pain and things like that. So very refreshing. That's why maybe it's closer to a five. I remember a few things I didn't really like about the book, some parts of it, but overall, probably gonna give this a five, even though it's a high four. Let's see the notes. Many pleasurable experiences involve pain. Just fascinating by itself. Unchosen pain is unequivocally bad, but author argues for chosen pain, fear, and sadness. So unchosen pain, when we don't choose it, that's categorically bad. No one argues otherwise, but he argues for what we choose, some pain we choose, or fear or sadness that we are choosing. Pain need not be bad. I think that's a quote he says there. It doesn't have to be bad. Fear is felt the same by people who like or dislike horror movies. The difference is whether they like it or not. So it's the same amount, if you may. It felt the same way, but whoever likes or dislike horror movies, the only difference is if you like it or not. So those who like it, enjoy it. Pleasure is distinct from satisfaction and meaning, so it's not the same. It doesn't necessarily go hand in hand too. People mistaken faces of pleasure with pain. That only shows the fine line between the two, which there is not necessarily is. Some claim that in order to feel happiness, we must feel the pain since we are getting used to things. So I like to think about it as like we have to have lows, because without lows, there is no highs. One joke goes, one man was hitting his head on the wall when asked why. He answered, because it feels so good when I stop. It's a good joke. So he was hitting his wall on wall, and someone asked him why. He said, because it feels good when I stop. So that's the same idea as, I call it, introducing lows. Not necessarily a bad idea. Pain and then pleasure feels much better than the opposite, even given the same times and intensities. So pain is better when it comes before the pleasure, not the opposite. Even if it's the same time, same intensity, it's the pick and low, pick end rule. It's an idea by Daniel Kahneman, that we remember what happened at the end more than what happened before. Part of the lure of pain is that it takes us out of ourselves into living in the moment. That's part of why we like pain. We get out of ourselves. Costly signals is used to show status without expressing it all at all, while making it harder to achieve that status. So that's a costly signal. You show a status without doing something necessarily to express it. But usually it also why it's costly, because it's harder to achieve. So, for example, if you buy expensive cars, expensive jewelry, and things like that, are all costly signals. A boredom is not a good candidate because it has an opposite effect where individuals are hyper aware. You can say why, but it's not pleasurable experiences, or it might be good, but we don't like boredom because it actually makes us hyper aware. Learning Latin has no benefit, but it shows status. That's the idea of costly signals. That's Latin. It doesn't really help us in life, but It shows status. Understanding and imagining other minds is fundamental for friendship. That's how we can better form friendship, is by understanding other minds. According to one theory, we engage in fiction in order to prepare ourselves to various situations. That's an interesting proposition. Not proposed by him, I can't remember who, but the theory goes that we do why we like fiction that much, because we kind of practicing or training. There is no pool of mental effort we overdraw from. Rather, the opportunity cost grows as we spend more time on the tasks. That's what happens. We're in a task. The opportunity cost of staying on that task grows, or not doing other tasks, and then therefore we want to switch. It's not that we have a pool of mental effort that we overdraw from. Side note, the author is very self-conscious, so I said in the review part, he constantly talks about his ideas or the way he portrays things. It's great. It's refreshing to read. Prestige motivation is one factor that drives people to climb a mountain, for example. That's prestige motivation, which can also, as a part of meaning, that's why people like to climb mountains, for example. It gives them prestige. One reason why people have kids could be since it gives them meaning, not necessarily pleasure. They always talk about how pleasurable they feel, and they have all kinds of experiments to check that out, but it could be mistaken. Oh, they don't have necessarily pleasure. It could be the opposite, but it does give them meaning. According to some, just like bicycles can have depression, life has no meaning. Interesting idea. So life not necessarily has to have meaning, just like bicycles don't have depression. According to one, just like there is no best chess move, there is no one meaning of life. It's a good analogy. There is no best chess move. It depends on the situations. Again, with meaning and happiness, there is no one true answer to that. It depends. One factor of meaning is making an impact in the world. That's what is one common ground between all of them, is making an impact. Ritual enhances group cohesiveness and commitment. It's part of why there is some ritualistic activity. Pain could show how much we value something. That's part of being doing a ritual. It shows that we are a part of it. People donate money to charity if they suffer before, such as marathons. People donate more money after that. So apparently after suffering, we care more. Survivorship bias often identifies the wrong measure to fix, while the opposite is usually true. I love this example is that they tried to fix planes in World War II, so they decided to check all the planes that came back and see where there's a lot of holes and reinforce those areas. That didn't work out because apparently that they fall for that survivorship bias. Those planes who came back, apparently the holes where the holes are, it's not a problem because they came back. The other ones didn't came back because they got hit in places that are crucial. That's a great. It's not. There's in many different books, but I love it every time I hear it. And the last one, unchosen suffering is no better than a good event or no event at all at improving one's life. So unchosen suffering, he says, there is no evidence to show that it's good. He's talking about chosen suffering, that it could be beneficial. That's it for the notes. Again, overall, an interesting book. I like the topic, just interesting topic overall. Not much. Again, I said it's a refreshing new book and new topic. A little bit about happiness, which is not new. Lots of book about that, but about pain. Overall, I think maybe even, again, a 5 out of 5. Thank you.